introduction, if you don't mind, because I think it kind of gives you a pretty good idea of what we're talking about here. Oh, I got loud. So when I tell people what I do, I'm usually greeted with a blank look of confusion, followed almost inevitably by, oh, I think my grandma used to make quilts. For anyone outside of our little subculture, this statement pretty much sums up everything that there is to know about the subject of quilting. My grandma did not make quilts, but I do. I have come to embrace that blank stare with a sort of secret pride. They don't know what we know. They don't know that we are immersed in a cultural revolution. They can't make the things that we can make with only a bit of cotton, a threaded needle, and our bare hands. We quilters hold the power to warm a person, both body and spirit. We have created an international community of knowledge and inspiration and shown love to family and strangers alike. We document history while relentlessly pursuing the future. We are passion personified. We are the guardians of a treasure trove of print and pattern with a complexity and beauty so vast that were it painted on a chapel ceiling, it might even be called art. We seek new prints, collecting them like rare gems or sacred scrolls, only to cut them up and piece them back together in intricate chains of shapes and forms. Which are so deceptively simple, it's often difficult to tell where one ends and another one begins. We explore pattern and color in a way that can't possibly be contained on a canvas or replicated with a tube of colored goop. Our desire to make quilts defines us. We make to celebrate miracles and accomplishments, to soothe our battered souls, and to satisfy our creative hunger. We are desperate to make, stealing time away from our busy lives, dedicating closets, coveted spaces, and whole rooms to the tools of our trade. We travel great distances, literally and virtually, to be with our kind, to share our stories, our lives, and our talents over the gentle hum of a sewing machine. If these are things that grandmothers do, then that is what I aspire to be. Who says I can't do all of this in a leather jacket with tattooed knuckles and a bit of a potty mouth? I can and I will because I'm a maker, I'm a quilter. There's not a single person in the world that I'd rather be in, not another community on earth I'd rather be a part of. And so we'll see if you can guess who wrote that. When we were putting this all out here this morning, waiting for you guys to show up, thanks for coming, we were like, whoa, we did so much work.
Yeah, we're not even halfway through yet.
Yeah, we're not even halfway through, so sit tight. So this is actually for the blue chapter, and I wanted to talk a lot about the variations in blue. Blue isn't just royal or navy or cobalt. Blue is a lot of different things. This is a mini version of that block in solids, still talking about white because this quilt is 85% white. So even though the white falls back and it's not what the quilt is about, then the quilt becomes about the tiny little blocks like jewels and the quilting, right? So whatever you want to pull out from the quilt is what you put into the quilt, if that makes sense.
And in this chapter, I talk a lot about framing. Everything in this quilt is framing something. The feathers frame the edge. They work their way around. I give different options for framing your blocks. You can create a different shape. You can add some curvy framing. You can add some straight echoing. So, I mean, even though it's like, oh, it's a pretty quilt, they're practical takeaways for the color, for the fabric, for the quilting that they'll learn when they're done. Picture or that experience I'm trying to put together really comes through as you flip through the book and kind of see what I've done. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the quilt in it, but this is not just a coffee table book. It also has my story in it. So it's part biography, part eye candy, right? I don't know if those two go together very well, but we'll see how it goes. Sprinkled throughout the pages is my story. And sprinkled throughout is how I became a quilter. And then the next story on down the road is how I became a machine quilter.
Going on right now. We have our second collection for Rifle Paper Company, which you've just heard 10 times. We also have our third collaborative black and white collection coming out this fall. A second blue and white collection called SS Bluebird. We have just done more collaborative work this year than we ever have. So many really cool projects coming out, and we're excited to tell you about all of them. So we're going to get started. For fall 2016, we are proud to introduce our 6th collections for cotton and steel. We're also releasing our 2nd collection with guest designer Anna Bond of Rifle Paper Company. As always, we are continuing to offer a variety of substrates, and all the collections are designed to be easily mixed and matched with one another.